All right, folks, we see that the college football playoff bracket is all set up, laid out, and there's been so much controversy about mainly Notre Dame. And I just wanted to come in and give my take on why Notre Dame should not have made the playoff, that the committee ultimately made the best decision with the data points that we have. First of all, I want to start by looking at the resumes of all the college football teams, right? Of course, you have the teams that made it, all the guys. There's no really argument about anybody else outside of Alabama making it. That's where all the controversy is right now. So let's look. Alabama, the strength of record is ranked 10, right? Their strength of schedule was 6 in the nation. We go down to Notre Dame. Their strength of record is 13, which I don't even really know how they came to that number. But I guess if we're going to use it for Alabama, we have to also use it for Notre Dame. Strength of schedule is the 44th ranked strength of schedule. Take into account how many teams play in college football. I think there's like 136 teams or something like that. Think about how many are relevant. We only have 25 spots to even be ranked. So for you to have the 44th ranked schedule, you're already not starting from a good point, right? We go to their schedule. We all know they lost to Miami. We all know they lost to Texas A&M. They won the game against USC. They won the game against Pittsburgh. Neither of these teams are necessarily like scary. Um, and I don't, they're really not as good as losses when you look at the other teams that made it in. Like I don't want to take away from what they were able to do, but at the same time, I have to be completely unbiased and look at this from a clean slate and say that your schedule, and I'm not making this up. We can go to the the resume of football where professionals make this stuff, right? Your schedule wasn't that important. We go and look at Alabama's. Alabama played a Georgia, a Vanderbilt, a Missouri, a Tennessee, and Oklahoma, and then Georgia again, and Auburn during hate week. Those are always tough games, right? An LSU team that ultimately could have been a lot better than what the record showed, right? Alabama played one of the toughest schedules in the entire in the entire league, bro. So yes, you have the loss to Florida State at the beginning of the season. But as I've learned through college football, that losing at the beginning of the season really doesn't matter, right? And that Florida State team kind of looked really good that first week. I can't even take away from them. Texas lost first week. Like there were a lot of good teams that were in this running that lost first week. So that's usually never important. You lose the game to Oklahoma in close fashion. And then, yes, you do get beat out by Georgia in the conference championship. But I think what people are forgetting, right, is Alabama does have the win against Georgia in week 4. I mean, so it's not like they lost twice. I'm going to compare this to a BYU season, right? Because BYU didn't play. What is their ranking in strength of schedule? They had they even had a 22. They were the 22. So they had a harder schedule than Notre Dame. And while I'm giving Alabama the nod, and everybody's saying, oh, well, Alabama didn't even drop like a single bit. Who did you want them to drop under? There was literally only one team to drop under, and that was Miami. That was never going to happen. BYU, I feel bad for BYU. I think they had a good season. You get ran in their conference championship, but they lost to Texas Tech twice. They proved that they cannot beat Texas Tech. Alabama has that win over Georgia. So yes, they lost in the conference championship, but they also have a win to say, hey, we're 1-1 ultimately on the season. How many times has Georgia lost to Alabama in the conference championship and still going on to do things in the playoffs? So that doesn't really matter when you think about it. You have a team that to me is even more deserving than Notre Dame. Vanderbilt. Look who Vanderbilt played. South Carolina, Alabama, a ranked LSU, Missouri, Texas, Tennessee, and they put up a lot of good numbers. Yeah, they have 2 losses, and they lost to Alabama, which is ultimately why I think they shouldn't have gotten in over Alabama, just because the loss in the matchup. But these guys were more deserving than a Notre Dame. You cannot. I completely disagree with the idea that them not playing in the conference, meaning they'll never have to play in a conference championship, that is benefiting them. That is going to benefit them. And I'm really glad that the committee put their foot down and didn't make this a precedent, because that's what Notre Dame is kind of like even known for since the football playoffs have started, right? They just kind of like sail their way in, and then it comes time to end of the season, they're like, oh well, look at us, we win a lot of games, we look good. It's not about just looking good, it's about who you look good against, right? You have the two losses at the beginning of the season against your two best opponents, and then your other 10 games were hogwash. Let's be honest. So I don't even see the argument about why Notre Dame, and then they're making it so much worse on themselves. Like, I'm glad that they didn't get in, but they're making it so much worse. You're pulling out of a bowl game, and everybody's like, oh, well, you're not saying anything else about the other teams that are pulling out of bowl games. We all know why Notre Dame is pulling out of the bowl game, right? And I saw a video today that was I mean, it's a very profound video when you think about it. Those kids thought they were going to play more football, right? And you pulling out of a bowl game just ruins all the seniors, all the guys who a lot of seniors are not going to hear their name called on draft night or even be free agents. This might be their last time putting pads on in any type of professional context ever again. And you just took that game away from those players. As a senior, I would be really devastated that the program made that decision. And then they even made it more worse because Notre Dame's athletic director came out and said that, there's been irreparable damage with the ACC because of how the ACC handled things. You're mad that the ACC was sticking up for their only team that was going to make the playoffs and wanted them to have their spot, their representation in the playoff because they were throwing dashes at you. Obviously, it was always between Notre Dame and Miami. Miami has the head-to-head matchup against you guys. It really shouldn't have ever even been close when you think about it. So I think they're really going about the situation in a just a really childish way. Um, the only looking forward, I think the only thing that Notre Dame can really do to start getting respect, and I saw something today about their schedule next season. It's not good. You either have to do one or two things to get some respect. You either have to join a conference, and don't join the Mickey Mouse conference, right? We're not joining the AAC conference, right? We're not even, I wouldn't even say the Big 12. You need to join either the Big 10 or the SEC. Those are the only two ones that make any sense, right? You do that, or you schedule a gauntlet. Point blank, period. If you're going to miss that data point at the end of the season, that a lot of other teams are going to, like, losing in your conference championship, it sucks in the conference, like you don't get the conference championship trophy, but I feel like the importance of it is like diminishing. We're almost forgetting about how important it was at one point to win a conference championship or to just play in one. You played better than every other team in your conference. You have the ability to even go out there and lose. Georgia, Alabama had the ability to even play that extra game, to go out there and lose. Ohio State, Indiana had the chance to even go out there and lose. That is, it should at the very most not do anything. It should never pull you back or move you further down in rankings for somebody who was sitting at home watching your game. I disagree with that 100%. Yes, they lost and they didn't lose in good fashion. It's not always about losing in good fashion to me. I think you have to go out there and you play the game and sometimes you get bested. To me, and I'm a Georgia fan, so of course it comes off a little biased, but I do think we are the second best team in the country and really a strong argument for one after that game, Ohio State Indiana game. So, you know, playing that matchup, that's kind of what I expected. I really don't agree with the analyst and everybody saying, "Oh, we want to see best on best in the playoffs. We want our best to be facing the best, and the group of 5 teams are just taking up those spots, and we need to get rid of the group of 5." I also disagree with that. From a person who came from a D1 school who would never have a chance to make the 14 playoff, probably much less the 12-team playoff without a group of 5 bid, right? That gives a lot of programs reasons to kind of play. JMU and Tulane, these guys did not take spots from Notre Dame because, like I just showed, if we are taking group of 5 out of it, I think Vandy and I think BYU, deserve those spots. So nobody took a spot from Notre Dame. That needs to be completely removed, that whole narrative. That's completely incorrect. But are these guys going to compete for a championship? Probably not. But they played well enough in the season. They played enough good games for the committee to even rank them that high. For JMU to be ranked, JMU was terrible a couple seasons ago. Tulane to be the 11th team in the football playoff, that's amazing. They're not just making these numbers up. These guys played the games, won their games, got the attention of the committee to even be in this position. It's not like we just drew a name out of a bowl and said, "Oh, Tulane and JMU, you guys are going to the college football playoff." No, that's not what happened. And if the ACC wasn't the ACC wasn't so bad this year, they would have had that spot. And I still think Notre Dame probably wouldn't. I mean, they were the first team out, but I kind of think they did that to save face a little bit. It is what it is. Then Miami would have had that uh, group of 4 spot, and then it would have made another at-large spot for another team. I don't think it should have been Notre Dame. But that's just my overall thoughts. And if this doesn't convince you, I guess nothing really will. But I would just ask people who are on the other side of this argument, if playing the games doesn't matter, then what is the point of the season? We don't do any other sport like this. We do not. The Chiefs are going to miss the playoffs this year, almost guaranteed. Are we going to say because Patrick Mahomes is the best quarterback in the league, they should be in over one of the wild card spots? No, nobody ever does that. Nobody's going to say, I mean, basketball has a lot of opportunities to even get in the playoffs, right? With the play-in and everything. But nobody's going to say this 10th or 11th seed that looked really good and plays really good on paper and just didn't win enough games, they deserve to be in over this 8 seed. Nobody does that. So why are we doing it with college football? It just doesn't make any sense to me. You go off the games that these guys play. You go off the opponents that they face. And when it comes down to tiebreakers, you look at the head-to-head matchups, you look at the strength of schedule, and Notre Dame loses in every single aspect of that. So there really is no argument, and I don't think they're doing themselves any favors by acting like they are the biggest victims of the college football world. I don't think it's doing anything but hurting them. So I might do a video where I go through and pick my bracket really quick. It'll be a quick video. There aren't 12 teams, but thank you guys for watching. I definitely want to know what everybody thinks in the comments. It didn't really make any sense for me for Alabama to even drop. You're not going to drop a team who lost playing in a conference championship game, excuse me, below a team that did not. That just doesn't make any sense. Now, if Alabama was like 6, then you want to drop them down to 9 or 10 or whatever, that's fine. But when we're talking about that little bit of margin that's at the end before you have to give the group of 5 spots, it didn't make any sense for them to drop, even losing that game. So, and Alabama's looked great. I mean, throughout the whole entire season, they looked great. Aside from these last 3 games, and I didn't even know Ty threw for 212 yards in the Georgia game. Obviously, you have the 122 and the 147, where this game shouldn't even matter. It was against Eastern Illinois. Everybody's trying to say, oh, they look bad the last 4 weeks. They played Eastern Illinois, and they won by 56 points. So that game, I don't even know what people are talking about. And, hate week games are supposed to be close. It doesn't look like Ty played amazing that game, but, irregardless. Let me know what you guys think. Leave it in the comments. Argue with me. Agree with me. Whatever you want to do. But that's my thoughts about it. I'll see you guys. Peace.